on a podcast called Dub Jellison Podcast.
Hey, you know how it is, Dub. Hey,
when I was like, this is kind of real, like, holy shit.
Hey, all right, I was one of the chosen ones. Like, that's a career night. Like,
never have you failed if you played it right.
And I'm just blessed to.
Thought it was my time to shine. I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 176 of the Dub Jellison Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, one of the newest members of the revamped XFL, Mr. Drew Plitt. Drew, how are you?
I'm great. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Like I mentioned, you're one of the newest members of the XFL now. What have things been like for you over these last few weeks since you guys got drafted?
Yeah, since getting drafted, just trying to figure out playbook wise what's going on, getting things together. Obviously, when the new league starts up, it's going to be a little bit chaotic, but they've done a good job of sending us stuff, overloading or being too chaotic with everything as it comes in information wise.
Now, how do you guys view this, or you yourself view this as an opportunity within the XFL? Obviously, when you play football, everybody's dream is to make it to the NFL. You have to sit back and be like, all right, this is the reality. I'm not to that point yet. This is the opportunity that I need to take.
Yeah. Obviously, like you said, everybody wants to play in the NFL. The great thing about the XFL, the USFL, all these other leagues, is it gives us a chance to keep playing. I know I can play at that level. I was in camp with the guys, and theoretically, the only thing that kept me out was that the coaches knew the other quarterbacks more than they knew me, which is fine. I mean, that's part of the business. It's knowing people more than it is a lot of times just being able to play if you're a backup. So for me, it gives me a chance to keep playing, and it gives me a chance to wait till next year. Maybe something happens, injury happens next year or something like that. I can keep playing, doing all that. And with the NFL, there hasn't been like a sub league kind of like the G League or the minors for baseball or basketball, or even hockey. The same thing. There's smaller leagues that feed into the professional team. I think that could be used here with the XFL is an off season. I think the timing of the XFL is great. Where season of the NFL is over, we get to play those 10 weeks. There are 10 weeks, and we still have a chance to go to OTAs, have a summer of recovery, and then go into camp. So really, just that opportunity to be able to keep playing for another shot in the NFL, next year.
That would be wild if they could come together and be like, all right, you guys are going to feed into the NFL. That'd be
right. I mean, I think it'd be it's probably years down the line, but I think it'd be a great program to have. Just, hey, we need to develop some guys, and I think that's what we're looking at as a developmental league. We need to develop our skills, and even with coaches, maybe they get a chance to go there and work with guys that they don't always get to work with.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys got The Rock leading.
Yeah.
That group.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are helping us too with The Rock being the face of it. It helps us too with exposure on ESPN, FX, Disney, all of it. Like, I think it's going to be great.
Dude, one thing that I was thinking about, I was like, Bezos needs to get in with the XFL.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger names you can get in it, the bigger it's going to be. And I don't think they want to be a competition like the XFL originally was. It's more of a, hey, let's make it a developmental league and help these guys who are on that bubble.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
The second, really, they called the XFL 2.0 was the 2020 version. So we're 3.0 now, but guys are playing because of it.
Yeah, do you kind of draw inspiration from guys like Taylor Heineke or even PJ Walker, who started, or I believe he started in the XFL, and now he's also gotten an opportunity with the Panthers this year.
A little bit of inspiration. I think it's more just validation that this league works. That as long as you keep playing, I think that's a big part of the NFL too. Is you got to keep your name relevant. If you get more than a year or two out of relevancy, it's the career is kind of by the wayside.
Yeah, and that's one of the weird things because like you mentioned earlier with the NFL or the NBA, excuse me, the MLB, all those different things. You can go play in other countries, especially in
Yeah.
basketball. You can go play in Japan for a year, come back, maybe make the G League or go to the or break camp with the team, and then
Right.
voila, you're right there.
Yeah, you're playing again. Yeah. It is pretty interesting. You know, the NFL, I think, is a little bit, more cutthroat and old school right now.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's part of the, and that's the thing, being a football player, the business, and everybody thinks they can play, and it's just about proving it.
Yeah, but they also have the European League, I believe.
Yeah.
I had their MVP on the podcast probably a year ago now. Jacob Sullivan, and I mean he can ball. He's a quarterback.
Yeah.
He can ball, and they got a guy that I'm a Purdue guy. They got Anthony Mahungu, who played for the Boilermakers back in 2017 and had a phenomenal year. Was in camp with the Eagles. There's talent out there. It's just a matter of NFL teams finding them and them getting them getting that platform to really be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with the thing with football too is there's only so many. It's so physical. There's only so many reps. Like you have, in a given day, you'll get, I don't know, say anywhere from 35 to 45 like team reps, and you got to spread that out amongst how many players. Like, whereas the NBA, you can get in there and you can show that you can shoot and play for 2 hours straight, whereas you get like 15 minutes in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like NFL fans really rally around some of those guys that have those types of stories where they're underdogs, and they have this weird winding road to the league. Like, people love Taylor Heineke. I don't know anybody who doesn't like him.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure.
You might have to be putting some dips in and chugging some brews after games.
Chugging some beers or something like that.
Yeah, the XFL is going to be fun to watch, though. I'm excited for it. There's quite a few Purdue guys. I don't know how many Ball State guys are there. Do you know?
I think we have 3 right now. A corner and a linebacker that are both playing as well.
Now, how much did you watch back in their first return in 2020?
What was that? I mean, I was tuned in. I think they played 5 weeks. Watched at least 3 of the 5. Obviously it was, you forget about it the first year just because you're not used to it. But I think as years go on, it's going to be a bigger thing.
Yeah, and then I mean, I just think it's going to keep growing.
Yeah, I do too. And I think what they're doing is great with, the USFL didn't play they only played their games in Birmingham, which is, tough to build a fan base in those other places. But it's the XFL, like they're flying us to, DC. We'll be playing in DC. We'll be playing in Vegas. That stuff like that will build a fan base. And you can, and not even just even if it's just people showing up because they don't have anything else to do on the weekend. Like, well, I'll take that.
They needed to put an indie team, so I wanted to go watch. I don't know if I'll be able to go watch any games. I think the closest one to here is St. Louis.
St. Louis, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to stay out of the northern states with it being the winter, for now, unless they get some, like the St. Louis team will be playing the old, Astrodome or the old Rams arena or stadium. So it's pretty cool though.
But then also, forgive me, I didn't do that much research. I don't know who your coach is, but they have some big name coaches.
Yeah. Bob Stoops is my head coach. So
that's nice.
I mean, there's some big name coaches, guys that have been around the league. Quarterback coach is Chuck Long, who played in the league for a little bit. John Hayes, who played in the league, coached for 17 years with the Bengals. Like, a lot of guys that know people that have been in the league. So I think they're doing it right.
What have your conversations been like with Coach Stoops in particular?
Yeah, I met him out at the draft. It was very brief. Obviously he's pretty busy with getting things set up. He was around the first time with the Arlington team. So I think he's got a little bit more wherewithal with everything that's going on. But like I said, it's been brief. We were busy doing a lot of media stuff and him getting ready for the draft. And So I'm excited to get out there in January and really pick his brain, Coach John Hayes and Chuck Long, just kind of learn from them and better myself.
Now, what about your teammates? How much have you talked to them? Because a former member of guest on the podcast, a former guest on the podcast, Jackson Anthrop, will be one of your receivers this year. And
yeah, I've talked to Jackson. Most of the receivers I've reached out to, or they've reached out to me. So we've been talking a little bit. The playbook is still in the works, so there's not much to talk about other than getting to know each other. But and I've met a few guys on Instagram or talked to them on text, and so it's been good. Just kind of in that phase of waiting to figure out what we can and can't do.
Mm-hmm. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but your experience with the Bengals in training camp and preseason, how valuable was that for you?
Sorry, you cut out there. You want to ask that question again?
Yeah, sorry about that. You talked a little bit earlier about your training camp experience and preseason experience with the Bengals. How valuable was that for you?
It was great. One, getting to understand like an NFL system, how quickly it moves, the playbook, how, and like talking to other quarterbacks, I was there with Jake Browning right now, and obviously Joe, who was coming back from his appendicitis, but just learning like, how similar playbooks were amongst the league. So when you go into another place, like how quickly you can pick it up. But I think it's just, like I said, it's a lot of validation that I went through too, that knowing I could play at that level, and getting in that first game, the last series, be able to make some throws, score a touchdown, do all that. So just a lot of validation and confidence building that I had through that entire experience.
And what was like, I don't know how much you guys overlapped in terms of actually practicing with the appendicitis that Joe was going through, like you said. But it's just seeing him work and seeing him be a pro, maybe in meeting rooms or whatever. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the field, what stands out about him is he's real technical, sees things a little bit differently, and really analytically. So he'll go through it, and when we go walkthroughs, you can see him making reads, making points, doing stuff like that kind of gets forgotten and kind of gets lost when you just go through it every day. But I think he really stays on top of it, which is why he performs so well. He's very smart. You can see all the adjustments he makes on Sundays. It carries over. So I think just going into walkthroughs and seeing how analytical he is, that's kind of what stood out to me. He's a great player. He's got his weaknesses, got his strengths. He's great and did things that everybody sees on Sundays. And I think just that part of the walkthrough, analytically analyzing the game, was kind of big to me.
He's one of the most polarizing guys in the league. Like his aura and his and just the way he enters a room and the whole Joe Shiesty and all that stuff is pretty funny. Coming from a kid that a year before that LSU year where he blew up.
It was
funny being talked about.
Right. I mean, he was kind of in my shoes the year before, and then, I think it all just kind of came together for him. So it's awesome to see too. Great guy that I could reach out to and ask him questions anytime if I needed to, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about an NFL locker room is guys really take care of the younger guys coming in, and they're always there. I talked to one guy who he played like half a year with Chris Paul, and he said he could still call Chris Paul right now, and that was
I mean, I think when you get to that level, kind of everybody understands how difficult it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then you don't really typically talk to those. You don't make a relationship with them. But the people you build a relationship, I mean, you're sitting there spending every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, having it at the facility. You get to know people, and you kind of stop seeing them like as a first round or second round draft pick. You just they're teammates. They're here to work. I'm here to work. Everybody's fighting for a spot. When you enter the field, though, it's kind of like it's a little cutthroat where, you're going for somebody else's job, but when it's off the field, I mean, it's pretty relaxed and nice, and everybody helps each other out.
Now, was it kind of bittersweet to obviously not make the team and then you kind of start back from zero, come back to where you started?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Great thing about the Bengals, they were up front with me the whole time. They were like, "Hey, you're here while Joe's out." When Joe came back, they cut me. They kind of told me that the whole time, so I was expecting it. It was a little tough, but I was glad I got that opportunity because it's giving me this opportunity in the XFL. And everything about it is just another opportunity to get better and keep playing as long as I can. Stay away from a real day job as long as I can.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
At all. Do you think that you could go right into a day job?
No. I mean, my fiance, she's like, "I hope you never have to work behind a desk because you'll be miserable." And I was like, "Yeah, I definitely would be."
I don't know how some of those guys do it. Like the ball stops bouncing, whatever.
Yeah,
I want to go back to your time at Ball State because obviously that's where I first saw you play.
mm-hmm.
How much fun is it playing in the MAC conference down in Muncie?
Fun is I don't know if I'd use the word fun for it.
Oh no.
Playing those Tuesday and Wednesday nights, man, it's you gotta be built for it because you get it, you bust right up the day before. You got to sit around all day, and typically like Saturdays you play a night game. It's great because there's football on all day, right? On a Tuesday and Wednesday, when you're sitting there at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you're just kind of waiting for meetings and the bus to leave, like there's nothing on TV. Like you're just kind of sitting there scrolling your phone.
You can watch Stephen A.
Yeah, I mean, you put it on Sports Center, but like there's not games going on. So like that's the tough part about it is like you kind of just sit there in a hotel room for like hours just waiting. And you play your game, then you leave. You get out earliest 11 o'clock on the bus. You bus ride back. You get in at 4 a.m. You got to be up at 8 just to go to class or treatment or whatever it is. So like the schedules are tough. And there's the fans. There's what maybe 4,000 if that. I think there's one time we played in Muncie when we weren't very good. We had probably 500 people, including the band there.
Wow.
So, I mean, like I said, you got to be built for it. So I don't know if fun's the word, but it's great exposure.
I love Tuesday night MACtion. I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves it because they like, and I like it for that reason. Everybody gets to watch. All my buddies are sitting there drinking with their fraternity brothers or college roommates, and they're watching me and doing whatever, betting on me and this, that, and the other. So it's pretty funny.
I mean, what was that 2020 season like? Taking back a few years, all the success you guys had on top of the COVID stuff, and how did that season play out for you?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty awesome. First game was tough, but we just rode. Got on a winning streak, got hot, and just rode that wave. It was awesome. Little bittersweet because we played in Detroit for the MAC championship, and Michigan at the time wasn't allowing any fans, so the stadium was empty. No family could come and watch. No family could come out to Arizona to watch. That part was tough. Just wishing they got to experience that as much as I did. But they were at home watching together, and it's pretty funny. We played Central Michigan at Central that year, and they were coming out of the tunnel, and they're like, Central Michigan fans, get on your feet. And I was like, everybody was like, there's nobody nobody's allowed to be in the stands. Who's getting on their feet? Like, you don't even have to say that part. So it was pretty interesting, but we just rode a high. It was awesome. Got on that streak and just kept going.
Now bringing that MAC championship home, back to Muncie, what was that like for you?
That was pretty cool. I don't think I slept that night. That was that's our like national title. For the MAC conference, you win that. It's kind of like, at our level, it's kind of as big as we'll be able to get, just unless you go to a New Year's Six and win. But But winning that MAC conference, it's such a tough conference too. Every year, it's
Mm-hmm.
a different teams in the championship. The West, it comes down basically the last two games every year. There's never a team that's just undefeated. So it's like I said, it's a lot of fun in that aspect. You always have a chance to be heading to Detroit to play in that game.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously, we know smaller schools aren't playing for a spot in the college football playoff and things like that. But to you, what makes playing at a smaller school like a Ball State, like a Kent State, Eastern Michigan, etc., what makes that so special?
I think it gives you a little chip, moving forward. Like, you play Division I, it's great. Everybody kind of like, they don't scoff at it, but you say it and they're like, oh, a lot of people I say I played at Ball State, like, oh, that's in Ohio, right? I'm like, no, it's in Indiana, small town, just about an hour northeast of Indianapolis. But, it gives you a little sense of pride in that aspect too. It gives you chip and pride in where you went to school, try to make a name for it, try to make it, as much as you can with that experience.
Now, do you think that that's going to be going away here soon? I mean, we've kind of already seen it with a lot of guys transferring out of those MAC schools and Conference USA and wherever. Do you think that smaller schools like that are going to kind of lose that that sense of camaraderie that they have?
I think if any, I don't think so at that level. I think if it's going to happen, it's going to be across the board. I mean, you look at the transfer portal right now, it's hectic, it's chaotic. It's just like, and the thing is, you just put your name in and it doesn't have your position where you went to school. It's just like a name. So I think that's just going to be across the board, that you'll lose a little bit of that, but also at the same time, when you transfer, if you're a team that's got some real leadership, like, you'll accept anybody that comes in. Everybody wants to win, everybody wants to play and win. So if that's your ultimate goal, then you shouldn't have any problem building some camaraderie. We had plenty of transfers come in that they're like brothers. So I think it'll be fine. I think college football is at an interesting place with transfer portal and the realignment of conferences, but I think it'll return to normal.
Yeah. What do you think of a guy like Carson Steele? I know you guys played together. He's one of my favorite guys to watch in the country. Yeah. And I'm hoping he comes on up to West Lafayette. Him and Maccabee would be dirty together. But what do you think about him transferring and seeking greener pastures? Because, I mean, he's top 5 in the country in touchdowns, rushing yards, all these stats, and he decides to jump ship and pursue a new team.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with it personally. Like, when you get to this level, everybody wants to put like you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be doing that, when you got to think of it like a business, or think of it like the NFL at this point. Like, he has a chance to go somewhere, and if he plays really well, he could get paid, he could get a better chance at, or better look at the NFL, stuff like that. Like, he's done a great job at Ball State. He's a great player. I like Carson a lot. He's played with him for a year, and great player, really smart. I think he'll do well wherever he goes, but I think, you got to do what's best for you when it comes down to it, because at the end of the day, it's a business. Coaches will be the first ones to say, you shouldn't be doing that, but they'll jump ship as soon as a better offer comes in, right? I mean, he's at a point where his stock is super high. He can get a better chance at going somewhere, playing, making some money, going to the NFL. I think that's the positive side of the transfer portal is, he can make a jump up because he's capable of, and he's proven it.
Yeah, and I mean, it sucks because I feel like those smaller schools, like we've kind of talked about, all their studs are going to get plucked, because
they are going to get plucked. I think, but you always need, like, guys from bigger schools are going to need somewhere to play too. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, that they may be just as good, but they're not getting that opportunity at some other schools. So I think, like, it's going to be a balancing act. I think it's just you're going to have a little bit more movement year in and year out from guys.
Yeah, it's great. Transfer portal's going insane, because there was 1,000 guys in there in like 2 days.
Yeah, within the first 2 days of the end of the season. It's pretty
It's
wild.
insane. Like all these guys, and then I saw a stat that said it was somewhere in like the 40% range that actually find a home. So
Yeah.
that means the rest of them are just like kind of floating out there. They don't really know.
They're just kind of either going to a FCS or something out, because like you're competing with high school kids that are coming out as well, and they've already got scholarships because they were recruited a whole year before. So interesting spot, that's for sure. But I think it'll work itself out and everything will be fine.
Yeah, but I think someone like a Carson is a prime candidate for that. And
I think he's going to do well in the transfer portal. He's got a lot of, what we call it, clout. So a lot of stock, a lot of clout, and he'll be able to carry that.
I think if he made it to the NFL, that's one of the best stories that I've seen, especially out of Indiana.
Yeah.
Coming out, only having a handful of offers. He picked between Ball State, a scholarship from Ball State, or a walk-on spot from Purdue and IU, I believe, and then just broke onto the scene and
just kept doing what he was doing in high school.
He's also an interesting character. I've never talked to him, but at least from the outside, like he's got that damn pet snake,
pet alligator,
pet
alligator, Crocky J.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Insane. Did you ever meet him?
I never met Crocky J, but he showed us pictures.
I would have if I was him, I would have brought him into the facility or something one day.
I think he's like 6 feet long now, so they don't take him out much, but he's basically got a room he's got a room for himself, and so he said they'll put him on a leash like when he was like young. I don't even know what you call a young croc.
Uh-huh.
But when he was small, they'd put him on a leash and walk him around the neighborhood. So
that's wild. I love it. But like I said before we started, I'm gonna have to wrap this thing up here shortly. So
you're good. No worries.
I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time to do this. My apologies for all the issues that we had.
It's all good. No worries.
Leading up to this that the audience isn't privy to, but best of luck in the XFL, man.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna be tuning in every week, and hopefully you can have a lot of success there.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.